Hey, this is Michael. Welcome to the weekend edition of round number one right here on YouTube. Today's show will likely run longer than usual, so when it's uploaded, there will be timestamps in the description box so you can skip to what you want to hear. Okay, let's start the show. So, let's start with a report from WrestleOps on X attributed to the Wrestling Observer newsletter. The reported reason Oba Femi chose not to have his championship match at SummerSlam is that WWE wants to keep building Femi versus Roman Reigns as the biggest possible match for later. Now, I've said in my previous upload that I wasn't happy with WWE using the King of the Ring tournament as a plot device just so Brock and Oba can have a second rematch on a 2-day PLE. Building on that point, as the 2026 King of the Ring winner, Oba should be redeeming his World Championship match against Roman Reigns at SummerSlam this year. Since the show is in Minneapolis, Brock Lesnar's hometown, why not have the Hell in a Cell match on night one and Roman versus Oba for the World Heavyweight Championship on night two? But that's not reasonable for those WWE bootlicker fans who will probably go on their public YouTube shows later this evening and then use their private Patreon shows to convince you that SummerSlam is not the place for Oba versus Reigns. They'll argue that the match needs more build-up for WrestleMania because that matchup would make this feud extra special. Let me tell you something, people. Triple H recently said WWE fans shouldn't take the product seriously. That interview got a lot of people talking, telling fans to turn your brain off and not take the product so seriously rubs a lot of people the wrong way, especially when the company is charging premium prices for tickets, merch, and streaming events. It fully supports the point I'm making in this segment. Honestly, this just builds an unnecessary ceiling for Oba. That reminds me of when Triple H was on the board while still wrestling, and he used his power to fast-track his workout buddy, Sheamus, to the WWE Championship. Sheamus was pushed to the championship way too soon. Mr. Tito brought this up during his latest column on NoDQ.com. Should Triple H have been more patient? Could Sheamus have been a bigger star? Oba is ready to face Roman at SummerSlam and beat him for the World Heavyweight Championship. So, if you were Triple H, why aren't you making the case that Oba is the present face of the WWE and have him beat both Lesnar and Reigns over the 2-night course at SummerSlam next month? Now, speaking of long-term booking, drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think WWE is delaying Oba's moment, or is this a slow burn, or is this slow burn actually hurting him? Now, trust me on this. You're going to see another match between Oba and Brock this year after their upcoming Hell in a Cell match at SummerSlam, and it's going to take place in Saudi Arabia. Hell in a Cell is supposed to be a finale to a feud, but it will become another plot device number 2 to get a third match, because a 2-1 record doesn't win you the Stanley Cup or an NBA championship. If you want my opinion, you're probably going to see Oba Femi win the Royal Rumble in 2027 to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 43. But you're probably saying, Michael, Oba has his World Championship golden ticket. Yeah, and I'll reply back saying yeah, and it doesn't make any sense. It's being used as a money in the bank briefcase. Watch Oba cash it in and then get beaten by Brock during a no disqualification match. At the end of the day, it's just ultra rich people trying to get richer. You got billionaires wanting another billion, and Triple H trying to turn his 300 million net worth into a 10-figure net worth. So Oba and Reigns are just vehicles to line corporate pockets. Triple H literally tells fans not to take the product so seriously, but for them, it's always about the money. Now, speaking of WWE's business decisions, let's talk about how contracts actually work behind the scenes. Jinder Mahal recently explained how WWE contracts work during his time with the company. His example used a downside contract worth $1 million, and I can assume there are now probably over 10 current WWE independent contractors making that amount. Think of their downside guarantee, which is basically their guaranteed base salary, like a bucket that starts at negative $1 million. WWE guarantees you'll make that million a year paid out in steady weekly checks. But every time you sell merch, do a TV show, or work a major event, that bonus money doesn't go into your pocket. It goes into the bucket to pay back that $1 million advance. According to Jinder Mahal, about 90% of the roster never makes enough bonus money to overflow the bucket. So whether you work every single night or sit home injured, you usually walk away with just that flat base salary. Now, recent court filings from the antitrust and shareholder lawsuits actually tell us that WWE allocates about 15% of its total gross revenue to talent payroll. Compare that to the NFL, NBA, and MLB players, where players split the revenue almost 50-50. So with around 130 people on the WWE main roster, the math makes it completely impossible for everyone to get $1 million downside. So here's how wrestlers actually hit that $1 million mark. Now, they would have to clear the bucket. A mid-card talent with a $350,000 downside who stays healthy, works every television taping, goes on international tours, and sells a high-performing t-shirt can blow past their guarantee. And then you have overflow payout. Once bonuses surpass the downside, WWE cuts checks for the overflow. Now, the thing I don't like about this system is that WWE superstars have to pay their airfare, transportation, lodging, ring gear, and taxes, and they receive no retirement benefits or health, dental coverage because they're classified as independent contractors. So I can imagine getting like $1,500 a week and living a very happy life, while they could struggle even then, because I don't have to buy airfare or a hotel room every week, and my paycheck already has taxes deducted. So I see why this bucket system is a problem. Really, I think it's time for these wrestlers to fight for a bigger piece of the pie and be treated like WWE employees. Now, WWE veteran Sheamus, real name Stephen Farley, is reportedly leaving WWE after rejecting a restructured contract extension. He's been out since November 17th, 2025, and underwent shoulder surgery shortly after. This departure marks the end of a nearly 20-year career. Now, when I saw this report from Fightful, to me, it sounds like TKO had the same discussion with the New Day as with Sheamus. Reports say TKO has been approaching established talent with restructured offers that amount to significant pay cuts. As I said earlier, WWE allocates roughly 15% of its revenue to talent compensation, only slightly above the UFC. Meanwhile, TKO executives are pulling in staggering amounts. You had Ari Emanuel making $67.4 million, Mark Shapiro $42.6 million, and Nick Khan making $24.3 million. While talent is being asked to tighten their belts, executives are cashing in record bonuses. For a guy who has given 2 decades of his body to WWE, walking away instead of taking a pay cut feels like the only move that preserves his dignity. Now for our last segment of the day, John Cena and WWE's control over talent. Now, Cena recently spoke on the Wildcard podcast about a direct violation of trust with Vince McMahon. He almost joined a startup without telling Vince, and when he finally did, Vince reminded him that his name was WWE property. Wrestlers are classified as independent contractors, but WWE contracts include exclusivity clauses that mimic the terms of full-time employment because WWE provides the massive TV platform that makes performers famous. Their contract restricts them from leveraging that fame anywhere else. When the industry's biggest star submits to the corporate structure, it reinforces the status quo. If the top guy won't fight the system, younger talent certainly can't. And that is all for this weekend on round number 1 here on YouTube. Check out our pinned comment of the day and reply to it, and your comment will be read on the next upload. This is Michael signing off. Stay cool.